Hey, today I'm going to show you a little bit of how we're going to finish out one of the boards that one of our clients asked us to make. It's a little bit different from, it's kind of a combination of two different boards that we make. And I'll show you, I've already got it glued up. I'll take you through the sanding machine to get it flat, cutting the size, shaping the ends, kind of that process. I'll describe it a little bit. Some of it we'll fast forward through so you're not going through some of the tedious parts. But yeah, so what I'm going to do here, you can take you around. This is what we have in the clamp machine right now. It's going to be an end grain butcher block. You can see all the different rectangles with the what do you want to call it? The tree rings, the wood grain rings from within the tree. That tends to be your end grain. If you look at a 2x4 piece of wood, the very end of the board is the end grain. That works out really well for butcher block. It resists getting knife marks in them. It's just a very classic look. So the center we have is walnut. The two outer sections are cherry. So what it's going to be, this top board over here, we got two boards here, I'll kind of explain. This top one is walnut cherry. This one is a 12 by 16, 12 inches by 16 inches. And it's just a straight rectangle. That's our standard size butcher block. The one over here is going to resemble our chef board. So I'll pull this one off. So that board is going to look similar to this. So it's going to be 20 inches left to right. It's going to be 14 inches high. And it's going to have these curved edges. So with our chef board, we create these curved edges. And then it'll also have a bevel on the underside. So we're going to turn that kind of into a combination of these two boards here and kind of explain it along the way. Right now this board is about 21 inches left to right and about 14 and an eighth top to bottom. So we're going to get it all sanded, cut to size, shaped, and kind of explain things along the way. So the first thing we have to do is take the glued up board out of our clamp machine. This clamp machine is one of the most phenomenal things that we have here. We can batch out lots and lots of boards at a time. We're not clamping these up by hand with the old pipe clamps. Those things are just kind of time consuming. They also put a lot of strain on your wrists, on your hands, on your knuckles. And we don't have to lift these, excuse me, lift the boards up and off any tables, move them around. Everything is contained here in the clamp machine. It's a Taylor clamp machine. They might be now known as Cameron or maybe JT. I don't know. I just call it a Taylor clamp machine. But I also like to call it the Kraken. It reminds me of the big monster, the Kraken, from yeah, just historical tales, movies, the Seattle Kraken hockey team. So, but yeah, so I call it the Kraken. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it off. This thing is pneumatic, it's run by air. So I'm loosening up the clamps by opening up down here, twisting there. It's releasing the clamp faces up here. Little stuck. Typically, we could use a use one of these scraper and scrape off all the glue beads. With the way we flatten these out, we really don't need to. We're going to take it to the sander, the big dual belt sander. It's got 36 grit paper, and it's going to take off all those glue beads. So here's where we're going. We're going to take this, come through the shop. That's our sander right there. And that's the inside. We've got two belts. This one here, that's the front end, because we're going to be putting it in on this side. That has the 36 grit belt. Back one here is 80 grit belt. Right now the 80 grit at the beginning won't even be touching the board. That'll come into play once we change out grits here in a little bit. So I'm going to set this board down. I'll show you how we get this set up. I'm going to do some of this before turning on the dust collector. So turn the air on here and turn this button, and you see that belt tighten up. That releases it. It tightens it. This is called the flatten down here. This is where we can manually do kind of some micro adjusting with the second belt, but that belt really isn't going to be hitting at this point, like I said, so I'm taking it up to where it's just kind of out of the way. So we're primarily going to be flattening, taking all the glue beads off with the 36 grit. So right now we're going to use our calipers. I need to go to inches. There we go. We're going to zero that. So I take it kind of across two glue joints, and it says 1393. I'm gonna say 1.40 inches. We're gonna finish out at 1.25 inches, so 1.25 inches. So it's 140 at the moment. What we tend to do when we start out, I'm going to turn this light off, is we start out at 0.40 over the caliper measurement when we're starting out. It might hit, it might not with the first round, but we don't want to take too much off at once. We don't want to see this amperage meter get too high. That puts heat on the board, which can warp it. If we're taking too much off at once, we can damage the machine too. So what I'm going to do here, first I'm going to open the gates for the dust collector, and I'm going to turn this on. The dust collector isn't running just yet. On the table, see the belt running, and I can adjust that speed as needed. I'm going to turn that off. So, like I said, we're gonna start out at 1400. It was reading 140. So what I'm going to do, take the 1400, and we want to go to the 0.04 over. So I'm going to start at 1440. And the amp meter up there shows how many amps of electricity the machine is drawing. So if it's under too much load in this red area, that could cause damage to the machine and to the product. So we're going to take a little bit at a time. We can't take all of it off at once to get it to our thickness. So I'm going to come over here. I've already cleaned the dust collector filters using the remote control here, which sends a signal to turn the dust collector on in that box. It's filling up bags right now with air, but that's our dust collector. good machine. I'd like to do some tweaks to it at some point. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot now as we're doing this. I'll speed up this video as we're going along here. It's going to make a bunch of noise and be just monotonous. So here we go. Slow down the speed of the belt. That also will help reduce the amperage. Barely touched. I can hear it just hitting the blue beads. Hit this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to go down to, first it's going to go up. It's going to go down to 1420. And my amperage got up to about 21 and a half. That's still low. Do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 26 amps, still well within range. Now that we've got that a little bit, some of the glue beads off, and flip it over to the other side. A little higher, picking up to about 30, 35. I'm not going to take as much off the next passes. I'm going to go twice. So for the first belt, I stopped it at 1.330, which is typically, we'll stop here at 1.325. I'm just stopping at 1.30 or 1.330. Now I'm going to change the belt out. Just taking off the 36 grit. See if I can get this on camera. So that far left belt there, that's the one I just took off. That's 36 grit. This is 30, or excuse me, 60. Little funky camera angle here for you. Now when I turn this on, what we're trying to watch for, this belt is going to go back and forth and back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth. And if it's moving too far one way, then we can adjust this so that it returns sooner back and forth. We don't want it going past these little brakes. That'll stop the machine from moving. I'm just going to hit this twice. It goes down just 0.010. Now what we're doing, so with those, the first round, you might not be able to see it, but when I was doing that, I was turning the board before it went in. That helps us to see the groove mark from the 36 belt. Now I'm trying to take out those grooves from that 36 belt with the 60-80. And actually what I'm going to do is adjust the flatten a little bit. About 5. Might not hit. No, it's hitting. Not too much. We're going to run this through about 2-3 times on each side. Probably the third time at least on that first side, because it didn't hit much. Amps are at 22 to 24. Totally good there. Just gonna keep flipping it over. One of the reasons we flip it back and forth is to help prevent heat from cupping it. Because as we're running through the sander, it's generating heat, and I can feel it when I pull it out of from the outfeed side. The heat is what's going to help, or the heat is what will make the board cup and twist. So I can feel quite a bit of warmth there. Last one, I'm going to run it without even changing the machine. It'll still hit. Turn that off. Let this come to a stop. I'm going to change out to the final belt. Hit the brake, make it stop. Release, release, twist. Taking out the 60. Putting in a 120. It's a little hard to do as I'm filming. Bear with me. One of the things that we have to look at, so down at the far end, I'll take you around here. If we're not paying attention, when we slide that in, if we get the belt on this side of this arm, it'll ride over this and it'll actually cut into this. Don't ask me how I know. We've done that before. We weren't paying attention as we pushed it through. This coming in here came around this side. When we turned it on, as it's spinning, it just cuts right through this. And we've seen sparks flying. We don't want sparks going up. That's bad in a wood shop. So we have to visually check, make sure it's going through that guide. So we're going to take out the 80 grit belt. And put in a 150. Right now I've got that flatten adjustment set at 5. When I'm done, it'll be at about 8 or 10. So again, I'll turn this on, watching those belts to see how they track. We can move this back and forth if needed. And they look pretty good. Turn the belt on there, the conveyor belt. I'm going to turn speed down a little bit. It just helps prevent, again, helps prevent heat. Let's see. I'm going to go 2 clicks. And then after that, we're only going to do 1 click at a time. That's going to adjust it 0.005 inches, which is a little less than, oh gosh, I can't tell you at the moment. I can't do math at the moment. So we're going to send this through. And that kicks our amps up. It's not hitting too much. It's less than 23. The break will hit 23. But it's not hitting a whole lot. That'll change here pretty quickly. We're going to do 2 to 3 times on each side. Now it's 23, it'll hit the back belt, 24, 20, almost 25. Looking really nice there. Trying to get all those scratches out of the board to minimize the hand sanding that we have to do. Yes, we still do have to hit it with the random orbital sander. So it's starting out 25, jumping up to 26, a little over 26 on the amp meter. Alright, so my phone kind of died there. So I'm going to finish this out. We got one more pass on each side for that board with the final belts. So I'm going to turn this back on. I'm going to adjust there. Release this. Tighten that. That is allowing me to manually adjust the belt down just very, very small on just that one belt. So it's going to hit a little bit more there. Might go up to about 28, 27, 30. I was doing that last belt. I was just taking out a lot of the scratch marks. I might even, yeah, I'll end up running it again. I'm gonna send it through right now without changing it. And with that push stick, I'm just helping guide it through because sometimes it'll catch and it'll do this number. And we don't want to do that. I'm just giving it a tiny bit of pressure. So I'm adjusting this to just one more click. And that's at 1.25. That's our desired thickness. It might be just slightly under.
show you with the calipers here. I'm going to sand it through a second time, just spinning it. Alright. Let's see what we got. Turning on my calipers. Yep, as I said, it might be just a little bit under, because I ran each side a second time on that last setting. So it's 1.2415. That might be, yeah, it's right about 1.24. So it's just barely under inch and a quarter, which isn't bad at all. I just wanted to give it an extra pass in the machine before we have to hand sand it. So we'll go on to the next spot here in a second. Alright, we've got our board. We're gonna cut it to size now. I'm gonna open up the gate for the jointer. I'm gonna take a real, actually let me grab a tape measure. So we want this to be 14 inches. Right now it's 14 and an eighth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the jointer to do a real light pass. We're going to flatten out this edge, because it might not be perfectly flat through the sanding process. So I'm going to flatten this one side, or one edge. I might run that through twice. Then, okay, on our table saw, first thing I'm going to do is drop the blade. I've got that too high at the moment. I'm going to move this over to 14. It's going to cut off about a 1/16 of an inch. Going to put on the cross-cut fence here. Looking more at the camera, the phone, instead of where this goes. Let me get that in place. This has a reverse thread locking mechanism. So I got to turn it counterclockwise to lock that one in. It's a cam system in there. Got to release this button underneath. Now to get this straight, we have a mark in our table, probably not going to be able to see it, that we line up this fence with, so that we can get this square, get a square cut. It's a mark that we've scratched into the stainless steel or aluminum, whatever the heck the top is there. So what I'm going to do is take one edge and square that up. Turn on the table saw. I'm just going to take a little bit more off, just barely. Now to cut to length, cut to length. We're going to finish out at 20. Some of you might not like the way that we do this. We're going to actually cut it here. We're going to finish out at 20, but I'm actually going to cut it a little over. I'm going to go almost a 1/4 of an inch over. And some of you longtime professionals are probably going to say, oh, you don't want to cross cut it long ways like that. You'd want to do it on the fence, the slider. This works for us. It works for us. That's all I can say. I'm going to turn it on. Could use a little miter gauge there, keeping that edge tight up against the fence. Turn that off. And then we're going to shape it, so I'll get back to you on that in a minute. Now we're over at the router table here, where we're gonna create the curved ends, the curved sides. So first thing I want to look at is the quality of either side. If there's any epoxy that needs to be filled, we want that on the bottom. And this piece does have a little bit that needs to be a little bit of some checking right there that we're going to want to fill with some epoxy. So that's going to go on the bottom. When we do this in our sled, we want the good side face down. So we're gonna put that epoxy side up. Sliding this into the sled. We're gonna use our hold downs to make sure that we're tight there. Now what's gonna happen, if you can see it, that bit, that roller is going to ride along. It's going to ride along this curve, the curve in that sled, to give us that curved edge. So the bearing is going to ride along here. That bit is going to cut the wood out. I don't have it plugged in. Why not? Where's my plug? Oh, it should be plugged in. Oh, there it goes. So you really have to have control of this. You can catch that bit and send this flying. So you really have to be careful at this point. Touch it up real quick. This can be not the best process when doing end grain because it can chip out. We're going to do our best here. Try and go slow. Pull that out, I'll show you. It created curved edges. We still have some left, and we're going to take that off when we bevel it over here. Now, one thing I forgot to do is take some of that off over here on the table saw. So we're going to adjust that blade to 45 degrees. We're going to bevel it a little bit so that the shaper machine isn't taking off as much material because it can chip out. So what I want, so this is 14 wide. I think I go to about 13 and 5/8. 13 and a half. Yeah, pretty good. 13 and a half. So I took one side off. It's going to bevel it a little bit. Go to the other side. Do the same thing. Almost done here. So I'm opening the gates, the dust collector. You can hear some things running up in there. So now we're going to shape. We're going to put a bevel all the way around. It's a big shaper machine. It's got a big 45 degree bit in the back there to give it a bevel, a chamfer. Might not be able to get the best video here. We'll see. Close the gates. Turn off this dust collector. And then, so what we have is our butcher block. Walnut and cherry. 14 by 20. Flip it over. We've got our 45 degree bevel. And then next week we're going to, on Monday, today's Saturday, we'll do a juice groove that goes around it. We're going to put a logo down in the corner with the laser engraver. Juice groove is done with a bit on the CNC router. And then on the back we'll do some other engraving as well and put our logo. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how we create this. It's a little bit, as I mentioned to begin with, it's kind of two products combined into one. But we've made them before, so it's totally within our wheelhouse. So yeah, keep checking back in, see more of the fun things that we make. Cheers.